Hey, hello again. Lesson 110 of Saxon Math Course 2. In this lesson we're going to be talking about simple interest and compound interest and successive discounts. We're going to calculate simple interest and compound interest. I'm going to show you how to do it in a simple four-function calculator to compound interest. Then we're going to show how to do discounts. Okay, so let's get her started. All right, so when you put money in the bank doesn't just, bury it in a hole and save it for you till you need it. They invest it and they earn money on the money that they invest, so they pay you some interest. The money that you give them to put in the bank is called principal, and the money that the bank pays you for the use of your money is called interest. There are two types of interest. There's simple interest and there's compound interest. When we're talking about just plain simple interest, they will pay you say 6% on $100. Each year that they have your $100, they'd pay you $6. So if you had it there for 2 years, you'd make $12. In compound interest, it works a little bit different, because in the first year they'd pay you the $6, and the next year they'd pay you the 6% on the $106 that you had, because you'd earned $6 of interest, not just on the $100. So we're going to look at these two, simple interest and compound interest, mainly focusing on compound interest. Okay, so just like I mentioned before, in the compound interest, if you had compound, you put that $100 in the bank and they compounded over 3 years. The first year you'd have $106 in there because you would have earned $6 interest, because that's 6% of $100. If you didn't take that money out, if you didn't take any money out and you just left it there, the second year they'd pay you $6.36, because that's 6% of 106. And the next year they'd pay you $6.74, because now they're going to pay you 6% of 112.36. So now your interest has grown to $119.10. So compound interest can be very powerful. That's why, as young people, if you put money in the bank now and leave it alone, it will accumulate to just unbelievable amounts when you get to be my age, for sure. So here's an example of that, showing simple interest and then showing the power of compound interest. All right, so if you were to take $100 and if you put it in the bank and they were to pay you 6% interest, and you left that $100 in the bank for 50 years, you'd make a total of $400 interest. Where if you're paid compound interest over that 50 years, you'd make $1,842. So compound interest is very powerful. You get paid interest on the interest on the interest on the interest. All right, so let's see how to figure that out. So let's make a table that shows the value of a $1,000 investment growing at 10%, compounded annually over 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 years. So you just go ahead and you make your table. You all know how to do that. You've done this before. And you've got year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. Okay, and you've got a $1,000 investment there. And then you've got to compound it at 10%. So 10% in a decimal is what? It's 0.10 or 0.1. Okay, so you're going to take your $1,000, you're going to take your principal here, and you're going to times it by 0.1, but you're going to compound it each time because the balance is going to change. All right, so you're going to take that 1,000 and times it by, and what you can do is you can times it by 1.10, which is the $1,000 plus 10%, and it'll give you the total. So it'll tell you that at the end of that year you'd have $1,100. So when you do it, there's 1,000, and then when you do it again, you take that $1,100, that would go right here, and you times it by the 10%, and then you get the 1210 here, and then so your 1210 would go here on the third year, times it by 10%. And you'd get 1331, and you get the idea, and work all the way down until you get to the fifth year, where here you'd have 1,464.10 times it by 10%, you'd end up 1,610.51. Okay, all right, we'll practice this. We'll get some practice with this. So when you're compounding and wants to do the total, you put a one for the principal, 0.1 for 10%, or 0.06 for 6%. So 1.06 would be multiplying the principal by 6%. So let's go ahead and show how they do that on a calculator. And you can't use your Texas Instrument TI-83s or anything like that for this, but it's just a simple function, four-function calculator. And the important thing is that you've got to remember to put the interest in first and then times it by your principal in order for this to work. So if you got a calculator and you want the value to figure out after 12 years what $2,000 would grow to at the rate of 7.5% interest compounded annually, you would put 1.075 in for the 7.5%. The 1 represents the $2,000, right? So $2,000 times the 7.5%, and then you do it times 2,000. So put 1.075 times 2,000 and hit that equals 12 times, and you would get to $4,763.56. It would just keep compounding each year without you putting the calculation. So you don't have to do a table of 12 years. That would take a long time, wouldn't it? So you can do it much quicker. Okay. So now let's look at another little twist. They want you to calculate the interest earned on $8,000, but only for 9 months, not a full year. We've been doing a full year. So if we did 8,000 times 1.06, that would tell us what our interest is for a whole year at 6%. And you put that in a calculator and you get $84.80. So $84.80, but in this case, or $480. I'm sorry, right there. So when you've got that, you calculate that. But the problem is that you don't want a full year. They're not asking for a full year. So the $8,480 that would be a full year's worth with your principal in there, right? The 8,000 plus 480 equals 8,480. So the interest is only 480, and that's what they want to know. They just want to know the interest. So they want to know how much interest would accumulate. So you've got to take that 480, and you got 9 out of 12 months. So you got to times that by 480 and get the $360. So you take 9 times 480 divided by 12 and know that you earn $360 of interest in 9 months rather than a full 12 months. I'm sure you can think of other ways you could calculate that, right? Could you take this 480 and divide it by 12 and know that's 120, right? 48 and divided by 12 and it goes $40, and then take 40 minus 40 minus 40 and end up at 360. You could do that. There's other ways you could do it, but this is the easiest way that we just did it, is it over the 9 divided by 12. All right, so now let's talk about cumulative discounts or successive discounts. So these are a little bit tricky, okay? So because it's just two-step. So let's go ahead and look at this. It says an appliance store reduces the price of a $400 washing machine 25%. So as soon as you see a problem like that, I hope that you automatically start drawing your boxes. And you know that the original price plus or minus, and then the new price right here. So you know this is going to be 100%. You know that because you pay full price, you pay 100%, right? And it's saying that the store reduced the price of a $400 washing machine. So it originally was $400, and then reduced it 25%. So now you can buy it for 75% of what it originally cost. Hopefully you know how to set that up just like that. Bam, bam, bam. And I think that most of you do. So I'm going to go ahead and take up my calculator here, and I'm just going to cross multiply 400 times 75 to find out what the price of the machine is now after the 25% discount. So I've got 400 times 75. That equals 30,000. I'm going to divide that by 100, and I get $300. So my new price is $300, and it was discounted $100. And you know that because 25% is a fourth, and a fourth of 400 is 100. So you could have done that, right? So now I know that. Now I can look at part 2. It says when the washing machine did not sell at the $300 price. So now over here we got our original, and we've got our plus and minus, and we have our new, right? Our new price is $300 because it tells us that because we just calculated that. We plug it in right here, okay? So when the washing didn't sell at that price, then the store cut off another 20%. So now the person can buy it for 80% of the sales price. So what's the clearance price of the washing machine? Well, now you've got to do the same. You've got to do it again. Do it all over again. And do 300 times 80. And you get 24,000. You divide that by your 100. And now the washing machine is priced at $240. So when you're doing a discount, you've got to do it twice. You've got to do it once to find out what the price was after the first discount, and then you have to do a discount on the price of the discounted price. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you're able to do that same thing. I think you can because I know you know how to make these boxes. All right, that's it. You have nothing to practice on. There's your TIDs. Let's do them. Submit them to me tonight. Write down any questions you have. We'll work on the homework itself, the written practice tomorrow as a class. Thank you for watching the video.